Okay, so now we're at the point of trying to consolidate our learning. So here's a challenge for you. Can you make this program? So dice 1 rolls a figure, dice 2 rolls another number, and then the two are totaled together. So have a think about what you need to do for this to happen. How can you make one dice roll a random number between 1 and 6? How do you make the second dice roll a random number between 1 and 6? And then how do you join them together for the output? So I'd like you to stop this video and try this out. See if you can make it in Scratch. If you can, then make it in Python and JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to assume now that you've had a go at that. So let's dig into the code and see how one way to approach this is. So in Scratch here, set two variables to a random number between 1 and 6, and I just want to output what does dice 1 do and dice 2. So for 2 seconds, dice 1, dice 2. So there's a bit of concatenation here with the join block just to feed back to the watcher what the numbers actually mean. If we didn't have the concatenation and if we just had this, we would have numbers, but you don't really know what is what. So by putting some words with the correct spacing before it, you can easily tell, okay, dice 1 has a value of 2, dice 2 has a value of 6, and the last bit is simply total dice 1 plus dice 2. In Python, you have to import the random library. Declare variable 1, the value of random.randint 1 to 6, and variable called dice2 exactly the same. So we want to then output the value of dice 1 with some text to let people know what that number means, output the value of dice 2, and then the last concatenation is dice 1 plus dice 2. Now let's have a look. So dice 1 4, dice 2 is 6, total is 10. Now you may have had some problem with the concatenation and with the integer and string part. So let's have a look at this. When we run this, we get this error, our good friend saying it must be a string and not an integer. So of course you could convert dice 1 to an integer, into a string. Okay, let's try now. So that does work. I just want to now show you another workaround. If we didn't do this conversion, and we get that error, of course, if you concatenate with a comma, there's a little bit of leniency. It works. So I'm throwing this out there now because there can be some problems with it. So I want you to be comfortable with using the plus concatenation. You try using the comma concatenation, and as the videos progress, I'll highlight some of the issues that can arise with that. In JavaScript, math.floor, I went multiplied by 6, which would give us from 0 to 6, 0 to 5 because it rounds down, but then I did plus 1, so then we don't ever get the 0. So random 1 is that, random 2 is variable number there. Variable dice one, oh sorry, var random. So it does work if you don't declare with the var keyword. What it does is it gives a global scope to the variable, and later in your programs you might want local scope or global scope. But by declaring it, you've given it global scope to start with. So just get into the habit of declaring it, unless you're more experienced than you know how you want your scope to be. Okay, and then we simply output document.write some text with the value of this variable and the value of that variable. And as we've experienced, JavaScript, being loosely typed language, isn't so strict on the integer and string data types. And a small program like this, it can handle the calculation to know what you're trying to achieve. So there's very short programs, but hopefully that challenge twisted your brain a little bit and got you to think about how can you implement some of these ideas into a small challenge. And so what you should do now is try and set some challenges for yourself as you go about your day and you think of a small program you could write. Try making it.